my ever-continuing quest of what to binge next, the wife and I settled on a favorite show of both my mother and sister, Gilmore Girls. After being with my wife for 12 years, I know her humor and her interests pretty well, and I had seen enough of Gilmore Girls to know that it would be right up my wife's alley. Sure enough, after binging all 7 seasons and the Netflix 4-part miniseries, it's become one of my wife's favorite shows of all time. It's endearing, funny, dramatic, heartbreaking, and genuinely joyful. The series, in many ways, is the television equivalent of comfort food. However, after watching the entirety of the show and falling in love, or hate, or both, with all of the characters, there is one that glaringly sticks out as one of the worst. I know everyone expects me to say Rory, since the Shut Up Rory meme has been going on since season 4, but she is still not the subject of my ire in this video. This may be blasphemous to the legions of loyal Gilmore Girls fans across the world, but in my opinion, the worst character has to be Lorelai Gilmore herself. This is Marks on Media. Let's get into it.
Marks on Media.
Don't get me wrong, Lorelai is funny, witty, quirky, and charming. You can't help but enjoy her screen time. And, after all, she is one of the 2 main characters alongside Rory. We get to see her go from a 32-year-old single mother living in a small town, actively trying to run away from the life that her parents wanted for her, to being a 48-year-old single mother living in a small town, actively trying to run away from the life that her parents wanted for her. The only difference is that by the end of the Netflix series, she's on her 2nd marriage. Hopefully, this one sticks. Lorelai grew up in the lap of luxury. Her father, Richard, was an insurance broker who came from wealth but built onto it through his own success. Together, he and his wife, Emily, wanted nothing but the best for Lorelai. They wanted her to have what they had. They wanted her to be a part of their world. Unfortunately for them, Lorelai hated that lifestyle. She didn't want the obligations that came from her family status. She didn't like the parties, the balls, the relationships you needed to maintain, and the expectations for your future. She wanted to make her own way in life, away from the prestigious Gilmore name. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. The problem comes when Lorelai actively rebelled so hard against literally everything her parents wanted. Her whole identity revolved around her being the anti-Gilmore. In the episode presenting Lorelai Gilmore, we find out that Lorelai refused to attend a debutante ball when she was a teenager. It was nothing she enjoyed or looked fondly upon, so she wouldn't give her parents the satisfaction of seeing her attend. In contrast, when Emily pitched the idea to Rory of her attending her own debutante ball, Rory accepted because, whether she cared about it or not, it would make her grandparents happy. Lorelai actively fought against this, trying to talk Rory out of it because she didn't want to give her parents a win. Rory wouldn't budge, however, and Lorelai eventually caved. Even deeper than this, the more we dig into the family's past, the more we find out that Lorelai's parents were not monsters. They were not demons. They were not slave drivers. Were they overbearing? Sure. They had a status in the community, and they wanted to maintain it. And they wanted their daughter, who they had high expectations for, to do the same. Kids get rebellious. Kids push back. And while Lorelai was strong-willed, so was Emily. While Richard would occasionally throw up his hands in disgust and just give up after so long, Emily would always fight back until the end. She pushed Lorelai, and in season 6, she pushed Rory. While she didn't always handle situations in the best way, Emily generally had the best intentions. She was a concerned mother, and even in adulthood, Lorelai never understood that. The major turning point that people can point to if they're anti-Lorelai is the moment when, at 17 years old, she packed up Rory and literally ran away from home. She handed in her mansion, maids, and chef for a gardener's shed out behind an inn in Stars Hollow. Fortunately for her, it worked out for the best. But it was a stupid and selfish gamble that didn't need to be made. She was still legally a child, and she had a child in her care. Because she didn't approve of her parents' overbearing nature, she put her and her baby in jeopardy. When she ran away from Hartford, she also completely cut her parents out of her life and the life of their granddaughter for the great crime of demanding some standards of their underage daughter. In the episode Christopher Returns, Rory finally meets her other grandparents, the Haydens. Old, hurtful memories are dredged up, and Christopher's parents make it abundantly clear that they hate Lorelai and want nothing to do with Rory. After quite a few disrespectful exchanges and purposeful prodding by Lorelai about George Bush, seemingly to purposely spur a fight, Richard kicks Christopher's parents out of his home. When Lorelai goes to thank her father for standing up for her, Richard tells her that as the head of his household, it was his obligation to defend his family. He then reveals that he and Emily are still deeply wounded by what Lorelai chose to do in running away and cutting them out of her and Rory's lives. Richard brings up Lorelai's carelessness even to that day, and how Emily stayed in bed for a month consumed by depression. Lorelai mildly attempted to defend herself, but realizes there is nothing she can say.
Lorelai, what are you going to take away from this? That everything that happened in the past is suddenly fine because I defended you? The hell that you put your mother and me through for the past 16 years is suddenly washed away? My only daughter, the brightest in her class, was pregnant and was leaving school. Your mother couldn't get out of bed for a month. Did you know that? We did nothing to deserve that. Nothing. One has to sacrifice something in order to do what is right.
Lorelai never wanted to ask her parents for help, not only because of her do-it-myself kind of attitude, but also because there were always strings attached. Lorelai always made sure to mention that nothing was for free with her parents. However, they weren't asking for tasks to be done. They weren't asking for blood or organ donations. The strings attached were always obligations to see more of each other. When Lorelai needed money so that Rory could attend Chilton, they were obligated to attend Friday night dinners with Richard and Emily. When Emily helped Lorelai secure a loan, Lorelai had to allow Emily to hold her DAR meetings at the Independence Inn once a week. When Rory needed tuition money for Yale, she was again obligated to attend more Friday night dinners. And at the end of the Netflix Gilmore Girls A Year in the Life miniseries, when Lorelai asked for money Richard left for Luke to expand his business, but instead to use it to expand the Dragonfly Inn, Emily obligated Lorelai and Luke to visit her multiple times a year at her new Cape Cod home. While Lorelai always complained about this, it struck me as sad that Emily and Richard literally had to bribe their daughter to spend time with them even for a few hours a week. By season 7, Lorelai would have been pushing 40. She suddenly has an identity crisis and questions what she really likes and loves. She even mentions that she doesn't know if she really likes Pop-Tarts or if she likes them because her mother would disapprove of them. In the Netflix Gilmore Girls A Year in the Life miniseries, she gets angry at one point, saying that she didn't want to do something simply because that's what Emily Gilmore would want. Keep in mind, she's pushing 50 by this point, still concerned with rebelling against her widow mother. By this point, you would think she would have matured far past that and moved the hell on with her life, but she didn't. While she eventually made up for it, Lorelai was insanely disrespectful and immature after her father's death. Yes, Emily surprised everyone at the funeral after party, asking them to share a nice story about Richard, but even if she was surprised, Lorelai couldn't think of one single nice thing to say about her dead father. Instead, she tried to avoid sharing anything at all, and then shared a story about Richard finding her having sex as a teenager and rightfully freaked out about it. Getting back to Christopher, both he and Lorelai are at fault for the way that Rory was raised. She turned out mostly fine in the end, but even Lorelai admits on occasion that was in spite of how she was raised. Rory very clearly loves her father and, while she never pushed for it, clearly wanted her parents to work out their differences and just get married. She even got excited the few times it seemed as though it might happen. But Christopher didn't get his crap together in life until his mid to late 30s. Even then, he struggled so much with jealousy over Luke that he ruined his one chance to finally stay married to the love of his life and be a big happy family. So yes, he was far from perfect. However, he offered to do the right thing when Lorelai was pregnant and marry her. Lorelai turned him down, claiming it would be unfair to Christopher since he had big plans that would supposedly be ruined if he was forced to settle down and stay with her. In some aspects, that may have been true, but in reality, Lorelai turned him down for herself. Then she kept turning him down. She wanted to be a single mother. She even refused to give Rory Christopher's last name. When Rory asked Christopher about all of this in the fall episode of the Gilmore Girls A Year in the Life miniseries, Christopher stated that Lorelai was a force of nature and did what she wanted to do. He also coped about it, saying that he thinks that this is the way it was supposed to happen and was for the best. You can tell Rory doesn't believe that, and deep down, neither does Christopher. While Lorelai didn't actively keep Christopher out of Rory's life, she made it known that she was the primary caretaker at all times, and he could come and visit whenever he wanted. He was not welcome in their family. Christopher had little agency of his own and no backbone, as opposed to the strong-willed Lorelai, so he took this as a hint to get lost. Both were at fault, but Lorelai never even tried to give Rory a stable two-parent household. Beyond Christopher, Lorelai never treated the men in her life with any amount of respect or maturity. One moment, she would be thoughtful and caring. The next minute, she was discarding them like their lives were lesser than hers. Look at how she treated Max. Max was a fantastic guy who treated her well, got along with her family, tried to fit in with her Stars Hollow friends, and even tried to be respectful about his role in Rory's life. He put his job on the line for her and was even willing to move much further away from work to make her happy. Then, right before the wedding, she packs up Rory and takes off on a stupid road trip. At 32 years old, she's too chicken to just tell the poor guy that she didn't want to marry him. It didn't feel right, so she ran away, just like she ran away from her parents. With Luke, once they finally got together, it started off fine. Then, when they started getting more serious, Lorelai made it all about her. They had to stay in her house. They had to do everything the way that she wanted and when she wanted. Luke mostly gave in on all of this, not showing any interest in himself whatsoever. You can say that he was just madly in love with her, which is fine, but he completely caved on every single issue. While Lorelai was unwilling to budge even an inch, Luke gave everything. Both of them ended up being absolutely terrible at communication. Luke got weird after finding out that he had a daughter, and he wouldn't commit to marriage. That eventually ended the relationship. But what did Lorelai do the very night they split up? She loved Luke so much and was so broken up that she went and slept with Christopher. It was pure insanity. That was another form of running away for her. At the end of the summer episode of Gilmore Girls, A Year in the Life, Lorelai seemed to get an epiphany while listening to a song for Stars Hollow the musical. To most viewers, they probably thought that she was going to commit to things and be an adult. But what did she do instead? She went home and told Luke that she needed to imitate the book Wild and hike the Pacific Crest Trail. She gives no reason beyond, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. She was, yet again, running away with no thought whatsoever. Luke even pointed out that the woman who hates exercise and can't even cook the most basic things is going to hike the PCT for months and rough it. This did not deter her. Obviously, she didn't go through with it, and instead finally had a mental breakthrough just by looking at a mountain range. And yes, she finally started to grow up by calling her mother with a good memory of her father and then going home to propose marriage to Luke. But holy cow, could this be considered a midlife crisis? I think that beyond the poor decision-making in her life, Lorelai refused to bend, compromise, conform, or deal with her issues in a mature manner. She didn't like her parents' lifestyle and rules. She ran away. She no longer liked the idea of marrying Max. She ran away. She didn't like the way that her relationship was going with Luke. She ran away twice. She just dealt with the fallout later. Past that, she refused to move from her house for anyone or anything. She had to stay there at all costs. Even though it was too small for her and Luke, she had to stay, so he remodeled the entire house for her. Her Jeep Wrangler finally crapped out and was unrepairable. Even though they weren't together, Luke was nice enough to take her car shopping. She hated every single vehicle, even other Jeep Wranglers, because they weren't her car. She would rather ride a bicycle around town and be without a vehicle than change and evolve. Luke finally had to find an identical Jeep for Gypsy to take the motor out of and put it in Lorelai's old Jeep. When she was married to Christopher, she fought and fought against a traditional wedding no matter who else wanted it. She personally didn't care, so it couldn't happen, even for the benefit of others. Even when it came to the Dragonfly Inn, her mother had good ideas about how she could expand the business. Lorelai didn't want to expand or change. Even Michelle pushed for it, but she refused. When Suki took years off, basically signaling that she wasn't coming back, Lorelai went through more chefs than Emily did maids. If it wasn't Lorelai's perfect way, it was wrong. She wanted to live in a perfect little snow globe where nothing ever changed. Luckily, by the end of the Gilmore Girls A Year in the Life miniseries, Lorelai seemed to finally be growing up. It's just unfortunate that it took nearly 50 years for the woman to realize what she wanted out of life, and that she might have to think of others every once in a while.
My brain is a wild jungle full of scary gibberish. Or I should really take my bicycle to work. Bicycle, unicycle, unitard, hockey puck, rattlesnake, monkey underpants.
Comment with your thoughts on this. Do you agree with me? Why or why not? Do you want to see me do any more of these types of videos in the future? Let me know down in the comment section. Also, please share this video around to everyone you know, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the little bell to be notified every time I post brand new content. This has been Marks on Media, and I'll see you next time.